to the channel. So this is another RPG book I found. It's the Conan RPG, TTR RPG that was discontinued a few years ago, only a couple of years ago. And this is one of the PDFs I found, so I'm able to now have it and possibly print it off on my own dime. The reason I even went looking for this was because of a video from Midnight Broadcast I like listening to, and they were covering the Conan was real theory, and the whole point of the argument is that the author of the Conan series, he depicted that when they asked how did he come up with the character, he said I didn't. He's described the story that he was just sitting at his desk, and he felt something behind him, and it told him to write, to start writing, and don't stop until I tell you to. And that's what he did for countless nights. Was the entity Conan would be behind him with his massive axe, ready to bring the axe down on him the moment he stopped writing or tried to turn around. So, with that and the fact that how a lot of things go into it, such as the depictions of different races and stuff that exists in the Conan series, you have to basically put your disbeliefs aside and say that maybe all those races that were depicted eventually became other smaller civilizations here and there, which is always possible because we'll always, like one person posted in the green text in the comment section of that, is that we're always finding something older. That it's constantly moving the date back to when we thought that this was the early civilization. Hell, even I think is it Machu Picchu or is it something or Samaria? I can't remember which one it is that is the oldest form of civilization. That used to not be the oldest form of oldest evidence civilization. It used to be sooner than that. I think at one point in time, people thought Egypt was the oldest form of civilization. Then we find stuff that predates Egypt. They found most of that predates that. We keep going further back. Not to mention with how we have evidence that coastlines have eroded and whatnot. There's no telling exactly how far underwater something could be buried. It really brings in the whole perspective of we don't know how old something is, or if this particular thing is the oldest of what we're looking for. For all we know, there could be an entire village carved into the mountain inside of a giant cave that we lost access to due to a collapse. For all we know, in the middle of Georgia itself, there could be a massive underground city that hasn't been used in thousands and thousands, 50,000 years, hasn't been seen in 50,000 years. Who made it? Don't know. Why is it there? Don't know. Why is it gone? Who knows? What we do know is it might be down there, might not be down there. We don't know because we don't know if it even exists yet. The idea of that city, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up as I talk right now, involving a city in East Georgia. What we do know is there is plenty of stuff that we don't know how old something actually is. They keep changing. As archaeologists dig more, they keep finding evidence of things being older, some things being newer than we thought they were. For instance, the Sphinx. We think now that the original Sphinx was covered up, and that the current head of the Sphinx is not what the head was supposed to be. That was modified, which, if anyone who studies anything involving Egypt archaeology, you will see that a lot of Egypt is a lot of the ancient Egyptians covered up their own history. They will go through temples to carve out the name of one ruler and carve in the name of the next ruler. So on to face other monuments that had depicted any form of a previous ruler, or a previous god and just put in place the new god or the new ruler. Stuff like that. It's just something that happens all the time with our history, throughout all of human history. Is occasionally there'll be some kind of person that takes power, and they will remove all evidence there was of someone before them, or remove the evidence of something that they didn't like. There's a whole debate with the calendars right now. Well, in the past there was a debate with calendars. That the when our current year is wrong because they think that a king and a pope in Europe at the time wanted both of them basically wanted the year 1000 to be something special. So they moved it up a few years because they wanted both of them to take power in the year 1000. So they had all the calendars changed to start with them both taking power being the year 1000. Which, you know, that's one way to remember a legacy is it started in the year 1000. Nice round number. Excuse me. So this is where it varies because some people think that happened with a 12-year difference. Some evidence says 20-something year difference. Some people even claim that within the records, it could be a good 300 years difference. That we were in the 700 something, and these guys just said, screw it, let's start at 1000. Nice clean cut. Which would explain the time, how certain things don't line up with certain time frames don't line up when it comes to history. But neither here nor there. But the reason I started looking at the Conan RPG was not because of just that. It was because of that. It was because of this. I was looking for the Conan RPG because I remember there being one. I didn't know it was so new, and I'm gonna try getting all the books. I don't think I'm gonna get them legally. Well, not legally. I don't think I'm gonna be able to buy them from a bookseller because they're already each priced at like $100+, and I can't sink $800+ to buy an RPG series that has been canceled. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get the PDFs and find a way to get them printed for me. A lot easier. I could do it at home, but I don't think it's feasible for me to print well over several thousand pages and then bind them all myself. I would rather just pay a company to do it for me. Yeah. I do like, but the other RPG from the same makers, who make Fallout and Skyrim and a variety of other ones, Morpheus, they are making they have a Kickstarter for Discworld. Discworld, for those who don't know Discworld, it is more or less it's fantasy and sci-fi, cosmic sci-fi mixed together. Fantasy and cosmic sci-fi mixed together. And I haven't read the books, but the book series is very long. So there's a lot of books in the book series. People love it. I've always wanted to read it, but I just never I never bought the books. And second, even if I bought the books, I haven't really sat down to read a book in a while. I might read chapters of the RPG books I can get a hold of, or chapters of lore for a game or whatnot, but I haven't sat down to actually read a proper book in a few years. I would love to. I have limited time throughout the day, and I prioritize other things. Fuck. But yeah, hopefully I can find all the PDFs and I can actually, get the RPG book, get the RPG going, because I would love to run a Conan RPG. I do want to get a hold of the Conan books themselves, the actual Conan stories. I think my oldest will like that when he's a little bit older, or he might try reading him now. He's 3, but he's actively trying to read. he can he can read. Actually, you can hand him a book and he'll actually read the words. He'll sound the word out the best he can. He doesn't know exactly how to sound out words yet, but he will make the sounds of each letter and then try to come together with what the word actually says. He he's reading better at 3 than I do now. Let's put it that way. He's smart. I'm proud of him. But I think I'm gonna give him the Conan. There's a few kind of books I want to get him. I want to get him the Choose Your Own Adventure book series that from the '70s or whatever it was that has the sword and sorcery books, where it's one is more sword and stuff, sword and board play. The other one is a magical kind of wizard stuff going on. I want to get some of those books if I can. There's a particular one that you carry your character. You start off in book 1 and you just carry your character through all the adventures. I want to get that for him because I feel like he would enjoy that a lot. He likes numbers and whatnot, and I feel like that would be just fun for him, fun for me too, fun for both of us, and his little brother when he gets old enough to read them. And the other one is adventure books and stuff like Conan, the Barbarian, probably Forgotten Realms would be tossed in there too. Uh, let's see, maybe some Dragonlance. I don't know. Depends on where. Depends if my dad has them already, because my dad has a large physical collection of books. I would love to go through at some point and just collect some of them. I bought a few books because my dad didn't have the physical versions of them. My dad bought the digital versions. I want the physical ones. I like physical books compared to digital books. Like the PDFs here. I have the PDFs because they're the only way I can actually have the book right now. But the moment I can get the physical versions, I will, if they're priced appropriately. Like, to me, some RPG books should drop in price over time. Not continually rise in price, but it's because they're out of print. For instance, some of the Warhammer books, for instance. I don't think they should be priced as high as they are because you're already spending so much money on the models. The models pay for everything else, but you have to spend quite a bit of money just to run the models. It's annoying. But yeah, I, I'm just looking forward to doing things. Hopefully this week I can actually sit down and do some World of Warcraft stuff. Some more World of Warcraft stuff. I want to start doing Mythic Dungeons and just complete the storyline. Right now, my character is in the Hollowfall. I think it's called. It's the one where the humans are at. You fucked up that entire turn there, buddy. Sorry. But yeah, it's where the humans are at in the giant crystal in the sky. That may or may not be the sword. I don't know. All I know for certain is that it's an interesting zone so far. I like how the humans cling to fire. Basically, it's not really fire. It's firelight. I don't know. It's light powered fire, and they use that to basically create beacons which help ward away the darkness in certain areas. Which, yeah, that's neat. I like that. I like that. I like that world building. To me, there's more world building and more care to detail in this expansion there has been the last 3 expansions. I'll say now, Dragon Isles was not that good when it came to world building because, sure, you went to the areas and you did some stuff, but everything there really wasn't any world building in Dragon Isles, in my opinion. I did a lot of the quests. Oh, we're going here, going here. It was us just let's say the first zone you go to, the shore area, the place where you land, the shore area. Not only is that place just fucking just annoying because if you don't have, it's annoying for the first few levels or until you get Dragonflight leveled up enough to where get enough emblems so you can actually do flying better. It's annoying because everything's so vertical. You shouldn't put that as your first level. Oh, it's to encourage you to do dragon flying. Yeah, but you giving this to us without any emblems, and we can't get some of the emblems because you literally can't fly that high. Thankfully, they realized the mistake and fixed it for War Within. The first zone has verticality, but it's not as bad as the first zone in Dragonflight. Then you have the second zone. Well, one of the two. You most likely go to the plains, right? That was annoying because that's all flat. It's all flat, pretty much. So you're never able to build enough speed up to do much of anything. So another zone where if you don't sit there and take time to fly around and get all the emblems immediately, you're gonna be just having a bad time. But the centaurs were the only thing that really had world building in the entire Dragonflight, in my opinion. And even that was minuscule. Because it was less world building and more of a less world building and more of just retconning. Because now you say because what was supposed to be the centaurs being a abomination between a son of Cenarius and a Earth Elemental became it their own race that exists on a set of isles by themselves, away from anything else. And you expect me to believe that this population of centaurs predate the centaurs on Kalimdor? I don't know enough of if they explain in a book or a piece of lore how there are centaurs that are completely different from each other existing, I would love to read that. But right now, I'm just running the idea that they are trying to retcon away. They're just trying to retcon the centaurs as being on this island, and the ones in Kalimdor are just abominations that somehow ended up there. Or maybe vice versa. Some dragons came by, grabbed so much centaurs, and threw them on the Dragon Isles, and they slowly became what they are now. Which, okay. It's also one of those things of, that's weird that it's weird that this group of people, the centaurs, living on this island, by themselves for this long, didn't really explore more into other areas. Did the gnolls keep them at bay the entire time? Do the centaurs just not develop any industry of their own? Like, none sat down and actually developed an industry? You see all this wondrous Titan construction everywhere. You didn't sit there and say, oh, let's build some stuff like that. I just don't find it. The problem with Blizzard's race is that they aren't really believable after a while. A lot of the races sit in stagnation for what seems like thousands of years, according to their own lore. Like the dwarves, for instance. The dwarves, yeah, they invent stuff, but their technology peaked at Warcraft with the tanks. They haven't gotten better. The gnomes and goblins are the only two really advancing technology, and even then, their stuff keeps peaking and stopping. At least with some of the crazy gnome and goblin stuff they throw in every now and again, you might get a shrink ray or something. But other issues that I have with just way Blizzard keeps on throwing world building is we find Tuskarr up there in the Dragon Isles. When did they get there? We don't know exactly. Is this their home? Is this the master village? Well, we don't know. How come? How come they only really exist in one part of the area? Oh, it's just snowing when it's I don't know. I'm just Dragon Isles does not make sense to me from a lore, from a just a world building standpoint. You have all this stuff there, and the dragons just didn't go there. Did they forget how to get there? Okay, they forgot how to get there. How do you forget where this area is? You didn't mark it down on a magical map. You're waiting for this one construct to go up there and turn it all back on. What happens if he got broken too? What happens if none of those constructs existed anymore? Would you just what would have happened? There's more to this. The more I look at Dragonflight, the more questions I have. And then there's the blue Dragonflight. To me, is also a wasted potential. Apparently, you have these blue dragons all over Azeroth, and you had none of them actively working on something really messed up. What I mean by that is that the blue dragons are constantly seekers of knowledge, right? You didn't have a single dragon. I do mean not a single dragon up in Northrend studying the death magics up there, or in some kind of, or near Scholomance studying the death magic, or Stratholme studying the death magic. You had no blue dragons studying death magic. That's the part that really was weird to me. You have the potential to throw new blue dragon characters anywhere you want, and you have none of them studying some weird death magic that turns them into this abomination that justifies the reason why the primal dragons are more sensible to having control of Azeroth than the dragonflights. Because the dragonflight is pure good. There's nothing evil about them. Oh, they're forcefully converting my babies into dragonflight stuff. Yeah, that sucks. But I think they only did that to basically have Alexstrasza just take a hit at Alexstrasza, the perfect base of the Dragon Queen. They wanted to take a hit at her. Oh, she was doing exactly what happened to her later on, so it's all good, you know. Her baby's being converted into chromatic or into void dragons. That's okay because she was doing the same thing in the past. That's what we call a retcon, or a unnecessary plot device. I really don't think if Alstraza did that in the past, she would have. I don't see her doing that, and not continuing doing it. What do I mean by that? Well, there were a lot of dragon eggs that were destroyed over the years, black dragon flight eggs and whatnot that that were corrupted and whatnot. Why would Alexstrasza not sit there and try to convert them back to good? If she has the power, if she and her allies had the power to convert proto dragons into the aspect dragons in the egg form, her doing that, why? I don't know. I'm sure the way they explained it was a lot better than how I'm doing it. It's something about the fact that I only feel like they did that to make us hate her and think it was payback that it happened to her. That's all I can think they did that for. Nothing else been inside just to, deflate one more legend of Azeroth. Which ultimately what they've been doing is deflating the legends of Azeroth. You have Thrall, who pretty much keeps giving up on everything. Every time things get difficult, he gives up and passes the buck to someone else. You have Vol'jin, who dies almost immediately after the first time he tries to do anything as war chief. He fucking dies. Then you've got Sylvanas, who, big bad evil person, not really dead but alive, but not somewhere. She's doing something. Uther, the paladin, the Uther Lightbringer. Yeah, he's evil. That was the biggest why I experienced in Shadowlands. This why. Why even bring him back? Why not make a new villain? Or why not grab someone who actually is kind of fucked? No, we'll grab Uther because Uther was mad at Arthas. Uther saw Arthas' soul and cast him down to be tortured by the jailer. Really, really, that, yeah, Uther Lightbringer. Uther that at the very end, I don't know. Hell, it's even more messed up that Uther, realizing the jailer was what he was doing, and still didn't try to break free of the jailer until way after. It's weird. Yeah, Warfin. I like the. My favorite part of Warfin right now still has to be the experience of seeing the dwarf, seeing the earthen, how they handle how they handle the brethren shutting down. They treat it as a they treat it as a burial, a wake and a burial at the same time. The one you help above ground, which has him facing the sea, holding a lantern, and the ones you help in the below ground, who you're helping the caretaker make sure they don't get too mossy and whatnot, and cleaning up some stuff and finding some gems that got knocked out of one of the hands in the water, and like the water. You can call it a little lagoon area, grotto area, and so you can put it back in his hand because he wanted to look at his he wanted to look at some of the best gems he had before he shut down completely. That was nice. That's nice. That's a nice detail they put in. I like that. I do like the kobolds. The kobolds living underground and having all this wax that they just harvest to make their cities, which are just covered in giant candles. It, they, like I said, they did actual world building this time, which is fantastic. Uh, I am I am upset about the archaeology. They should have been archaeology for the expansion. There's no reason for it not to be there. This is like the expansion. Excuse me. This is this should have been the expansion. They brought archaeology back because right now you haven't had it since Shadowlands, I think. So yeah, skip. It didn't happen in Shadowlands, which is okay. I guess that's fine. You could have introduced it as you introduced all these different zones. You could have started introducing the artifact stuff. You know, the last zone of the expansion. You could have thrown it in there, or just throw in archaeology sites, which just give you random bits of archaeology stuff. Like, oh, this is from this area. This is from this area. Stuff like that. Like you go to Ravendread, you have one spot which is Night Elf for some reason. Then you go to the next spot and it's ancient Draenei. You go to another spot and it's a core and it's the bird people from Wars of Draenor. Like everything is mixing it together, and the everything's just mixing together out there in the Shadowlands. Then you've got hell. Then you got Dragonflight, the expansion that it should have came back in, because now you're on the Dragon Isles. You you literally on an island that predates a lot of what happened in World World of Warcraft. It predates the War of the Ancients. It's one of the oldest places, and apparently it's all these. You have all this ancient civilization stuff, and you have dragons who built things everywhere. You have the centaur race that's there. You have the gnolls down there that apparently live there. You have these Tuskar who made it their home. You have all this other stuff going on, and yet you don't actually put in the effort to put archaeology back into the game. That would have been fantastic. So many things that you try to front load onto the player through the various forms of books and random bits of dialogue characters are saying randomly in the world, you could have done in archaeology, and that would have been so much better, in my opinion. But War of It, come on, we're doing the Rubians. proper Nerubians. We're not dealing with the ones who are basically almost wiped out. We're dealing with an actual infestation of them, an entire active empire of them, a kingdom, an active kingdom of them. So it means we get some new artifacts. We can get some new interesting lore through artifacts. You have the Arathis, who apparently were alive in this underground area. Been there for years now. You could have pre-war human, pre first war human artifacts with them. You could have all kinds of stuff with them, or their own artifacts based upon stuff. You have kobolds down there. We could have had an entire artifact tree for kobolds, because they've been down there a while. They even have a quest where you help a kobold go around finding artifacts of the Great Kobold Empire. Just junk that the kobolds making that's calling different things. That could be an entire thing. Just random junk the kobolds say it's precious treasure. But the joke at the end that you find precious treasure that belongs to the kobolds, but the kobolds treat it as trash because it's not what they were looking for. Stuff like that. Just so much wasted potential. Excuse me. Then we got the Earthen. You have a race of people who've been alive since the Titans made them. No, sorry, the original Titan constructs were made. And you could literally just have, you could have them just have all these artifacts scattered across the Isles. Find entire inactive Earthens. Find, do all kinds of stuff. They had that weird archaeology thing in Dragonflight, which people did. I didn't do a lot of it because I didn't really understand what was going on. So I didn't really mess with it. But yeah, just they go wild with some of this stuff. I will say one thing. Crafting is a whole lot easier in War Within than it is in Dragonflight. Why is that? Because they're actually giving you you have a higher chance of getting the knowledge stuff, getting stuff that give you increase your knowledge than you did in War Within than you did in Dragonflight, which was annoying in Dragonflight. So only those who were able to. It was the system that was good, but once again, Blizzard fucks up the implementation of the system, and people can defend all they want. If you have to patch the system, if you keep applying patches to fix the system, your system was broken from the start. But that's enough of me talking about Dragonflight for right now and other random things. Y'all have a good day. I'll think of something else to talk about later.